Yes.
This is
Good morning.
Dave. Can you hear me?
Is that you, Dave? Dave, I heard you for a sec.
Oh, can you still hear me?
Now I can, yes.
So I'm trying to join Teams, but it doesn't seem to be loading. I just got a blank screen.
I'm not sure how to resolve that because Teams is configured differently, I think, between entities like counties and state. Let's see.
Went through a couple screens, and then as it changed to another one, it just went all white. Hold on.
I can send you the slide deck that we'll be using, if that helps.
Phone just came in. He's trying to.
Is this what you clicked on?
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Where's your Teams app? Where's your Teams app at?
I don't know if I've used Teams before.
I'll tell you what, Dave, I'm going to go ahead and get started. And if you could put a message in the chat, if you're still having trouble, I will email you the slide deck.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Hopefully fill it out.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, glad you're here. Okay. So we are here today for the Trapper iPad training. This is the point where we get to start playing with the iPads and tie it all together with everything we know from the administrator app of CalTrap. So welcome, everybody. We are planning a 2-hour webinar. I will have to drop off after the first hour, so I think that'll affect the recording, but we will be able to get our demo in and some Q&A, so we'll see how that goes. So today we're here to train you as trainers to go out and train counties across the state. We are focusing on fruit fly detection in the beginning, although we have other pests available. And this is the Trapper app only, and this ties into our supervisor app training that we held on December 22nd. So we're going to do a live demo in LA County as part of the webinar, and then we'll talk about training in your region, and then we'll have a Q&A. So we ask for a couple of guidelines here on the webinar. We are recording. We will post it. Everyone is muted in the beginning, but you're welcome to speak up. We'll unmute. And the best way to get a question in is to type it into the chat feature. So we'll monitor that during the presentation. And also you can use the raise hand feature if your chat question has not been addressed. All right, so just to review, I think we're all aware we have been working with the administrator app to set up county data in preparation for using the iPad app. We went over that on the 22nd, and we are all, I believe everyone on the team now has both staging and production login access and has been working in various counties to train themselves and start to train other counties. But today we will now look at the Trapper app on the iPad. And I will hand the webinar over to Yvonne at this point so she can start the demo.
Okay, thanks, Bonnie. All right, so let me start by sharing my screen. Okay, and I'm going to start by clicking on the CalTrap app. And then I'm going to log in with my username and password. And click sign in. Okay, and then after you sign in, you will see the map begin to load the layers. And in order to use the mobile application, it's important that in the administrator version, surveys and routes have been created and vehicles have been added, and a user has been assigned a route and a vehicle so that they can begin trapping in the mobile application. Okay, so up here on the screen, we see an overview of Los Angeles County. And on the right-hand side, we see this green I want to button. We click on that. We see that this is where we could sign out of the application. And then also on the bottom right-hand side of the screen, we see the accuracy of the GPS. And if we click this button on the right, you can geolocate where you are out in when you are out in the field and confirm your location on the map. And then on the left-hand side of the screen, we see the following icons: search, start end work, trapping dashboard, manage hosts, host advisor, manage sites, and trap shelf. And the search button can be used to search for an address, a host tree type, or a particular trap type like McPhail or Jackson. So let's start by clicking on the Start Work button. And this is going to pull up the user's name and at the top, and then we can see that this route field, we can select which route to work on. You can see that I have been assigned 2 routes. And I'm going to select 19-25 for this demo. And when you see when I select the route also on the map, it will display that route on the right. And for the vehicle field, if I click on that, I'm also assigned to 2 vehicles. So I can select which vehicle I'd like to use, and then I can adjust the starting odometer if needed. Okay, I'm going to click on Start Work. And now we see a message that the route is being downloaded, and it's going to be stored on the iPad locally. On a fast connection, it could take maybe 2 to 3 minutes for the iPad to download the route. So it's important to download your route in the office or a place that allows Wi-Fi connectivity if you do not have a data plan for the iPad. And once the data layers are downloaded, the app will work in a disconnected mode, which will help when trapping in the field with areas of low or poor signal strength. And at the end of the day, when you end work, the application will connect to the internet and upload all of the trapping changes and bring you back online. Okay, so now we get this message that the download has been completed, and we can start work now. So I'll click OK.
Yvonne, do you mind if I pop in for a sec?
Yeah, go ahead, sure.
Just to a training point from LA County experience that if trappers don't allow for all of those layers to download and they try to head out, then CalTrap is, they're at risk of CalTrap misbehaving. So they absolutely have to be patient if they have a slow network connection. They have to allow all of the download to complete, and they have to see that confirmation screen, or they'll possibly have trouble in the field. So just wanted to emphasize that.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so after starting work, instead of viewing the entire county map, now we see only the grids in the route 19-25 that have been downloaded and are displayed. Okay, and to start trapping, I'm going to click on the trapping dashboard here. And this is going to pull up all the traps that need to be serviced and a list of the books in the route. Okay, and now we can see the route name is displayed here at the top. And this area right here is the Trapper Bulletin. If there's any notes that the lead or supervisor wanted to add to the route, they can do that in the administrator app when they create the routes. Okay, and I'm going to click on book 1. You can see this highlights the grids that belong to book 1 on the map in green. And I'm going to click on this button down here to open the book. And now you can see a list of grids that are found in book 1. And I'm going to open one of the grids here, LX562. And open grid. And we see that grid is opened and all of the trap sites are highlighted in yellow. And if we zoom in here, we see these different icons. So these green triangles are Jackson's, and the green with that purple outline, that indicates that these traps are on time. They're not due for servicing. We also see that dog icon here in red and white, just indicating there's a dog on the property. Over at this site, we also see a green trap. That's our GWIS trap. And this red square is our McPhail. The red indicates that this trap is past due for servicing, and it was marked as unable to service the previous time we were at that site. And then if we go over here, we see these orange traps, the orange square and hexagon, and these are traps that are due to be serviced. And all of these yellow highlighted sites are potential trap sites. And these different colored dots indicate the host trees that are located on the properties. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my trapping dashboard, and I can click on a site to service the traps. And down at the bottom, I click open site. There we go. Whoops.
Over the next mission. Who's Yuri wannabe? Yuri wannabe? Yuri wannabe.
Carmen, can you mute yourself? Thank you.
Okay. All right. So once we pulled up our trap site there, we can see the address is displayed at the top. We can click on this button to view more site details, like additional notes or access notes. And then we can click on the individual traps to pull up the possible servicing buttons. So we have some options down here at the bottom: service, unable to service, new trap, remove, relocate, and rotate. And I'm going to service this trap. I get a message that pops up telling me that I need to be within 500 feet of the host to service a trap. I'm not currently located near this site in Los Angeles County. So this is a soft rule in the application. So it won't prevent the trapper from servicing the trap if they're not within that 500-foot geofence, but it does log this information. So I'm going to select OK so I can continue. And I'm going to select to inspect this trap. And I'm not going to record any samples at this McPhail trap site. Okay, and I get a message that this trap has been successfully serviced. You can see on the map now that that trap has turned green. And then we still have one other trap on that property to service. So instead of using the trapping dashboard, I can also click on that site itself to service the traps. So I'm going to do that for my GWIS trap. And I can also service from these options here. Okay, and I'm going to say I inspected this trap and save it, and I get a confirmation that the trap has been successfully serviced. Okay, I'm going to click on that site one more time, and I just want to demonstrate how we would rotate a trap. So I've selected my GWIS trap, and I'm going to select the rotate button. And now what's pulled up here is the other hosts located on the property. Right now the GWIS trap is in an ornamental tree, and I'm going to rotate it to a peach tree. And there's also an option for me to list a reason for the rotation. That's optional. So I'm going to leave that blank and click save. And I get a message that my trap has been successfully rotated. Okay. All right, let's go over and take a look at actually, I'll also do a relocation. So let me click on that site one more time. I'm going to click on my McPhail, and I'm going to select to relocate it. Again, I can also include a reason for relocation. Maybe it's a relocation that wasn't scheduled, so it was done a little bit earlier because fruit was gone from the tree. So I can make notations there if I want to. Okay, and now I get this message that my trap has been successfully shelved for relocation. So it's on the trap shelf. And then let me also click on that GWIS yellow panel trap that I have and select to relocate it as well. And save. Okay, and this trap has also been successfully placed on that trap shelf. And now you can see that after I've relocated all of the traps off of this property, the site is no longer transparent, but this opaque color. And if we click on the site, we see this message down at the bottom showing that the last time this site was used was 2/16. And the visual and these notes here will indicate to the trapper that this trapping site has been recently used. After 10.5 months, the site will turn transparent again. The trapper can still use this trapping site before the 10.5 months are up if needed due to things like changes in hosts becoming ripe at different times, season to season. And if I click on my trap shelf, I see the 2 traps that I have selected to relocate. And let's find a new site to relocate my traps to. I can zoom out here on the screen. And let's select this site over here. Okay, I see I have an apricot and a lemon on this property. I'm going to select the apricot, and then I'm going to click deploy trap. And then I can select my pest type. I'm going to select my McPhail and click save. And now I get this message prompting me that there are shelve traps that could be placed on this host, asking me if I'd like to deploy a trap from the trap shelf. I'm going to select OK. And then this is my McPhail that I shelved, so I'm just confirming that and clicking save. And that trap has been successfully deployed. Okay, and then I'm going to select that site one more time, and I'm going to place my other trap, my yellow panel trap, into the lemon. Select GWIS, click save, and that same message prompting me about the trap on the trap shelf. I'll say OK. Select that trap, click save, and that trap has also been deployed. So now we've done a relocation. All right, let's go to a site that has our Jackson traps. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to click on that site, and I'm going to start by servicing my Medfly Jackson here. So I'll click the service button. Okay, I'm going to mark this as an inspection, and I'm going to demonstrate how to document a sample. So we'll say that we found one suspect Medfly in this trap, and I will click save. Okay, and that trap has been successfully serviced. Let's service the next traps. So let's go to our melon Jackson. And inspect that trap as well. No samples for this one. Okay, and then let's look lastly at our OF Jackson. And let's say that I was unable to service this trap. So I'll click on Unable to Service, and I have some options that I can select as the reason why I was not able to service it: construction, crime scene, gate locked, loose dog, or other. I'll say the gate was locked, and I'll select Save. Okay, and that trap has been marked as unable to service. And now you can see on the map here that my OF Jackson is a red triangle. This is just an extra indicator for the trapper to see that that trap has not been serviced and is still due, while the Medfly and the Melon Jackson are green, and those are on time now as they've been serviced. All right, so next let's look at how to manage the trap sites. So if I click on this button here, Manage Sites, given a few options, we can create and modify single sites and create and modify site groups. A site group will apply to larger parcels that need to be divided up into smaller individual trapping units, like a mobile home park. Let's go ahead and create a single site. So I'm going to click on that button at the top, and then we are prompted to select a parcel. So I'll click that button, and then I'm going to click on a property here. And that parcel is what I'd selected. And you'll see that the address has auto-populated. The user can also edit these fields if needed. And we will need to select the site type when we create new sites. This field is new and hasn't been captured yet. So we have a couple selections here: residential, airport, commercial, industrial, orchard. I'm going to select residential. And then also for our permission, if permission was given or denied, let's say it was given, and that will capture the date and time for the permission. And we can also fill in these fields for the contact name, phone number, or email. And we can say whether or not this property has a dog by scrolling that button on. And we'll say this property is viable. We're going to be adding host trees to this site. We can also record notes or access notes, things like gate codes. And I'll go ahead and click save, and that site has been created. And now that it's been created, we can click on the Manage Host button here on the left side. And I'm going to add a host to that site. And you'll click this Add New Host Location button. You can simply tap the site on the site where you'd like to place your host, or if you hold your finger on the site, you can use this magnifying glass to really get a precise location. So I'm going to place my host here. And then next I can choose my category. So let's go with common fruit trees. And then I will go ahead and say this is an avocado here and click save. And that host has been added to the property. If we need to, we can go back in and we can modify the host. So I'll click that button and then tap over where that avocado is. I can relocate it by pressing that button there at the top. And I can select a new location. So maybe I didn't get the right spot at first, so I want to move it here. And I can click save. And that has updated the location of the host. And we can also deactivate that host by modifying it. So right here at the bottom, we can scroll on that bar right there to deactivate the host. Maybe the host has been cut down. So we would tap that scroll button there to deactivate it. By deactivating the host, we would still save all of the historical data associated with that host, but we would remove it from the site and it would no longer show on the map. But I'm not going to deactivate. I'm going to keep that host on the property. And if a site has refused trapping, we can modify that site by selecting it. So I'll go to Manage Sites and Modify Single Site. Click Select Site and click on the property. And then I'm going to scroll down and say, and change this to Permission has been denied. And click Save. And my site has been updated. And once we save that update to the site, you'll see now that we have these red diagonal lines across the property, and that indicates that permission has not been given to trap this site, and this property will stay marked as a refusal. But the permission can be edited by the user, like I showed you, if the homeowner agrees to allow trapping, maybe at a different time in the future. Now, if a site is no longer viable, then that means that all of the host trees maybe are either not, have been cut down or no longer produce fruit or have been removed from the property. So to make a host or make a site non-viable or deactivate it, we would click on Modify the host. And I'm going to locate this host here on this property, and I'm going to deactivate it and click Save. And you can see that the host was removed from this property. And then I'll go to Manage Sites, modify my single site, and I will scroll down to the bottom here, and I will toggle this button off so this property is no longer viable. Oops, I have to update the site type there. And my site has been updated, and you'll see that that site is no longer highlighted in yellow. So this is no longer a site that we have host trees or is trappable. And then I just want to mention the button over here on the side, this host advisor, that can be used to search for medfly and mexfly hosts. However, we recommend using that search button at the top instead, as it can search for any host type that you want to type in, trap type or address, and it will return results based on the area of the map that you have zoomed to. Okay, and when I'm done with my trapping for the day, I will click on the End Work button here. And I can enter my ending mileage here. And I can also include any comments. And this will show up on the daily trapping summary. And then I'll also select this accuracy statement and click Stop Work. And in order to stop work, I will need to be either connected to Wi-Fi or have a network connection in order to do that. So all of the changes and the data entered for the day will be saved and synced. If there are any traps that were still on the shelf, I will get a message that will prompt me and let me know. And once the data has been saved, the supervisor will be able to see the updated trap servicings and relocations in the administrator application. And the supervisor or lead will be able to print out the daily trapping summary. Okay, and I just get a confirmation that my work has been successfully completed. Okay, so now that that's complete, let's go ahead and look at how to install CalTrap on the iPad. Okay, so once you receive an email to install the CalTrap mobile application, you can pull the email up on your computer, and then on the iPad, you'll want to open the camera. And then you can hold your camera up to the QR code, and automatically the iPad will recognize the QR code, and you'll see a notification at the top of the screen. So I'm going to click on that notification. And then next, you'll just hit that install button there and just confirm that you'd like to install the app. Okay. Then I'll turn it back over to Bonnie.
Okay, thank you, Yvonne. Lots of information demonstrated there, so let me reshare the slide deck. I'll just go through a couple of slides and then we'll open it up for Q&A. So hang on just a sec. Okay, hang on, let me get back to my. All right, so you have seen the demo of the Trapper app, and to tie everything back to the administrator app for training purposes, just wanted to go over a few points. But I also wanted to start out by saying that we will continue to have the training support calls for a couple of months because there is so much data to absorb and practice with and train others on. So you just saw a lot of stuff right now, and we'll continue on with the training support. All right, so the first point to make is that the trap servicing data, including the mileage uploaded from the iPad at the end of each day, is stored in the main CalTrap database, and it's synchronized with the administrator app each night. So supervisors who are doing their planning would be able to work with updated data when they come in the morning if they need to reassign routes and vehicles and things like that. So everything is synced at the end of the day and ready for the next day. So also if, sorry about that, if the trapper switches vehicles during the day, the new vehicle should be assigned in the administrator app as close to the time that it happens as possible. And if an administrator can't reassign a new vehicle, then they'll ask the trapper to add this event to their comments on the daily trapping summary. So also to make an important point when you're practicing and training, when you're working with the administrator and the trapper app, make sure that you're always in the same environment, either staging or production. So if you set up the routes and vehicles in a staging area like Orange or San Diego or Sacramento, make sure you're training on the staging version of the iPad app. Same thing with the production viewers that are coming online. If you're training in a production viewer, make sure that you have the production version of the iPad app. And we'll continue to keep you updated as those viewers and apps become available. Okay, so getting started with training in your district for the Trapper app. As you know, your schedule will depend on resource availability. So we have ongoing viewer creation, and as we know, as separate viewers required for each county, and we are continuing to build viewers as we speak. And the same with the iPad app build. A separate iPad app is required for each county, and they are in progress. We have started with the staging apps so that all of us here on this call can practice on our iPads in the staging environment. And we do have a commitment that by the 19th, which is this Friday, we'll have LA, Madera, Sacramento, Orange, and San Diego iPad apps available. So as Yvonne demonstrated, we'll send you an email with a QR code. So you'll be able to scan that QR code using the camera on your iPad and be able to install the staging version and be able to practice there. Also, the goal for all training is now May 14th. Originally, we had been publishing March 15th as the training date. That has been extended, so we will republish this in our minutes for the support call as well. And then the goal for all counties using CalTrap in the field is June 1st. All right, so to help you plan, we do have materials that we can provide to you, same as we did for the administrator app. So a training PowerPoint, a user guide. We have published the ArcGIS account instructions. Those haven't changed, but we will also publish iPad app installation guide for you to use and to give to counties. It's okay to group counties together for training, as has been happening. And as usual, play around with the iPad app until you're comfortable, and we can do an optional data wipe as well. So in particular for iPad app training, COVID-19 can really affect the way that trappers get trained. We know ideally it would be optimal to be doing a ride along with the trapper and training them as they service a trap and holding the iPad right there next to the host. We've got a lot of COVID concerns, so plan as best you can for this training, and we can have this as a discussion topic on our call as well as to what the impacts are of not being able to ride along. And then go ahead and encourage the counties to download and install the iPad apps after you have trained them, and we'll make those QR codes available. And just to reiterate that we have the weekly support call going for a few months. So as you get started, similar to the administrator app, you want to make sure that your trapper trainees have an ArcGIS account, and we are doing a bi-weekly sweep to create those accounts. We're also taking immediate account requests if you're planning to do some training and those users don't have their accounts yet. So use the same link to request an ArcGIS account that has already been published. And then also for successful iPad trapper training, make sure that the surveys and the routes and the vehicles are created and assigned in the administrator app beforehand. And then a note about the sequence of the training. As you would guess, you would want to train on deploying traps on the iPad app so that you have traps that can be serviced a little bit later. So training on deployment is critical, and then the servicing of the traps. And a few notes about using books while transitioning to CalTrap. We recommend that counties work concurrently with CalTrap and their books until they're comfortable with CalTrap. And so it's an individual county decision as to when to stop using books. So we realize that some CalTrap functions may be interrupted from time to time if there are network issues or anything about CalTrap availability. So CDFA will provide instructions for what to do if that situation occurs, if CalTrap is down and the trapper no longer has books with them. So that's forthcoming. And then just a little bit about next steps. We still have the training videos available on caltrapinfo.com. You're welcome to provide us feedback on the videos and tips for enhancing those videos, also the user guides. And then begin training as soon as you're comfortable and you have the iPad app available for your counties, and continue to call in on Tuesday at 1 o'clock when you can. All right, so I'll go ahead and open it up for Q&A. And I'm going to mute myself here. So you're welcome to speak up or use the chat room if you have any immediate questions. Also, a number of you have been putting questions in writing, and that makes it easier for us to answer them and add them to our FAQs for the group. You're welcome to send emails as well. Does anybody have any questions in the moment? Okay. If there are no questions, Yvonne or Qua, did you have any other topics that you wanted to cover in this session before I close it out?
I'm good here.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing for me. Thank you.
Okay. Then I will go ahead and close the meeting. Thanks again to everyone for participating. And just one last reminder, I did cancel today's 1 p.m. call because of today's training. We will resume that call next Tuesday at 1 p.m. But you're welcome to contact us in the meantime. Also, we did do we have a soft start on the CalTrap help desk this week. So by soft start, I mean we are testing out the processes, incoming calls, incoming emails, making sure the help desk is familiar with the procedures for handling questions from the field. And then we'll let you know when the help desk is fully live and accessible. Okay.
Bonnie, this is Sue
Yes.
Thomas. A quick
Hi.
question regarding the data wipe. I understand that when you perform the data wipe, it's actually delete everything. However, one question that I have is if the survey, if you create the survey basically by station, and you need to delete only, you need to delete that particular survey. So it's going to be only the data wipe will be only for that particular station, correct? Or basically it's going to be deleted for the whole county?
Actually, Sue Thomas, this would affect the whole county.
Okay. All right.
So, yeah, and there is coordination involved in a data wipe for sure. So we can discuss all of the impacts. We can also review that on a call. And we do have a request in to modify the data wipe process to not wipe out any sites or hosts that have been added to protect those. But that request has not been assessed or evaluated yet. So this is definitely a topic that we should have a lot of communication about so that counties don't get confused and that they don't lose data that they wanted to keep.
Okay, great.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Okay, any other questions? All right, I'm going to go ahead and close out the call, and we will be in touch. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Bonnie.